Hey guys, welcome to episode 29 of the Tower Babble podcast. I'm here in the Haven, not the Tower today, with Jeremy and Dan. Say hey.
What's up? Yo.
Yeah, all right. It's official. We're doing podcasts every 2 weeks now, just because that works best with Dan's schedule, and because everyone's really busy. We might go back to once a week if you have more later on. Who knows? Whatever. But because of that, we're going to stick with main stories and maybe a few smaller ones, but just the big ones, just because we don't have time to do 2 hours every single time we record. Can you stop? Jeremy has decided to put pictures of Batman pretty much on every screen in
Why do you have that one? George Clooney Batman.
Where? The last one was George Clooney?
Isn't that one?
No, it wasn't.
No, Dan, come on.
It looked like it.
George Clooney one has nipples.
This is a 1080p screenshot of
yeah,
the new
it's
game.
crazy. The Dark Knight, what's it called? Arkham Knight?
Arkham Knight.
Literally insane.
How big it is.
So Jeremy, do you want to start with that then?
Yeah.
So
sure.
They've shown pictures of the Riddler and a few other villains for the new game. Apparently with the Riddler is that kind of like how the cape in your suit kind of deteriorated through the game in the last ones. Mm-hmm. The villains like visuals will deteriorate through the game. With the Riddler being always usually being throughout the entire game, his look will deteriorate as well over the course of the game. They've also shown.
So that means you're going to be fighting him, like
probably.
Or no,
he's always been behind the scenes.
Well, yeah, but the last couple of games have taken place over one night or.
So maybe it's over a
just
long
like he's
period.
like wearing the same clothes for a whole night, drinking a lot of coffee and smoking or something like that.
Yeah, well, like the picture they showed, he was kind of like disheveled.
More like doing a lot of crack.
You think
coffee?
Yeah. You think the Riddler's a crack
guy?
guy?
The Riddler does a lot of coffee, but could be a lot of other things. But yeah, he'll have his bow tie like undone and like his shirt kind of.
I don't think he's doing. Yeah, well, that's pretty much what the image is. His shirt's kind of. He's got like two buttons undone and like. Is that the Frank Miller realistic version? Mm-hmm. Kind of ugly.
What?
Anyway, we'll move on to other DC stuff. So the Flash costume has been shown, the full one, not just the helmet, which we talked about last time. Not a big fan of it, Dan?
Well, I don't know.
Gotta see it with the whole gloss.
Well, I think
you have to see him running,
right?
but
this is
it
a
looks kind of
paparazzi
dumb right
photo.
now.
And
well, there's two. There's the official
multiples.
one. There's the official one that they revealed,
ones.
and then there's the paparazzi ones.
It's like he has like a leather
this
vest
one looks
on.
good. Got kind of a cool photo.
Yeah, it's
But with the bright lights, right now it doesn't.
Well, you have to see it in the right, like once it's been filtered with the television
but
and
then
all
when
that
you see
stuff.
that, it's like okay.
I just feel like leather's not the best for running.
Okay, so so these.
Well, it's a mixture of both.
These photos have been revealed, and then some of the producers have come out and said, now that they've been shown, that kind of like with the Arrow costume has been evolved
definitely
through the
evolved.
series. Come on, Jeremy.
It's fine.
Well, can we not have it ring, or how's that work? It's like it's not even just like a ring. It's like the long ring. Oh my god!
We can't do any more podcasts until this is done.
So we're just gonna.
Darren!
Answer the phone. Meatloaf.
What's going on up there?
Just like hang up
Like
on
this
it
whole,
though.
This whole like belt thing going on. Like what's going on there?
Yeah. Okay, so I think that what they're trying to do with that belt is that like trying to make it look like the lightning came like they did in the comic book version. Yeah. But I don't know if it really works.
It doesn't even need a belt.
No.
Again, with that show, you'll have to see how it looks with all the special.
No, exactly. But
and
okay, so you've got a character who loves superheroes. He's a big fan of the Vigilante in Starling City, right? So if he becomes a superhero, he's probably going to be the one more likely to put on a ridiculous outfit.
Sure.
He was the one that made the mask, like because the Arrow had been using like grease paint to cover his eyes. He gave the Arrow an actual mask, and he's the one who created it in the Arrow show. So, assuming it's made out of the same material, it looks like leather. Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Well, he has like you have to see the episode. They work together.
Weird. Okay.
I hope they did. Come on, don't just eat as close as you can on the microphone. What else have we got? Oh, so they said that they're going to introduce supporting cast members on Arrow before Flash starts. So instead of just Barry Allen, they'll have Caitlin Snow. I'll give you one guess as to who she becomes in the comics. Last name being Snow.
Mr. Freeze's wife.
No, that's Nora.
Oh yeah.
Captain Gold?
No, it's a girl, so she's going to be Killer Frost. Cisco Roman becomes Vibe in the comics. So both those characters are going to be introduced in Arrow as well. And then Constantine, did I show you
Mr. Freeze's wife.
Come on, you should know that. Wouldn't her last name be Freeze?
I guess.
So Constantine...
Frost's last name be Frost?
No, because I guess, probably, yeah, maybe. Anyway, Constantine...
No.
So Constantine, NBC, they're a photo of the guy playing Constantine, Matt Ryan, not the quarterback, Matt Ryan, has been revealed. It essentially looks exactly like what you would expect Constantine to look like.
That's an easy character
That's
to do.
pretty much the easiest costume you could ever do.
Any alcoholic detective.
Well, he's got to be alcoholic. I guess he's
like
alcoholic.
Anything you've ever seen in The Wire, that's what it looks like.
He's got the trench coat with the loose tie, and the messy hair. I mean,
probably has a little flask on him at all times.
Probably like a bitter attitude. Probably really jaded.
Always
right?
smoking.
Yeah, obviously, he's surrounded by smoke actually in this picture. Anyway, well, again, we'll reserve judgment until we see the show.
I'm excited for that one though.
Yeah,
Like more than most.
It's on NBC though.
I'm more excited for the Justice League Dark movie.
Oh yeah.
What about Gotham? Anyone excited about Gotham?
No.
Not as much for some reason. I don't know why.
So for Gotham, we got a full synopsis, which I'm not going to read because it's like 6 paragraphs long, as well as a logo and an image of Alfred Pennyworth has been shown by the guy who's playing him. Alfred looks like Alfred. He's wearing a trench coat as well, black trench coat this time. But he's kind of based on like the Earth 1 style Alfred, where he's got he's more of a badass, former KGB or something like that. Not KGB, MI5.
Okay.
Whatever. He's a former secret agent
Yeah.
from Britain. He's kind of a badass. So less the just pure Butler style. What is it, Jeremy? What did you put on? Tell everyone you put.
It's a comic book.
Which comic book?
Green Lantern.
Which Green Lantern?
Number 0, I think.
Green Lantern New 52 0.
Yeah.
All right. So if everyone wants to watch along,
Just follow along at home.
The annual, sorry.
And we're on page 3 now. Now we're on page 4.
so you have to pick out of the 3 that are the new series that are coming: Constantine, Flash, which is going to tie into Arrow, and Gotham. Also Hourman, but that one's still a ways off yet. But out of those 3, which one are you most
keeping in mind
excited
that I haven't watched anything of Arrow, I'm more excited for Constantine. It's the largest question mark out of all of them. It could be done really badly, and it's on NBC, so it's going to be kind of...
It's going to be more mainstream.
It's not going to be rated R, but it's
Not
a
that
really
they
cool
do rated
character,
R
and there's a
television.
lot of directions you can go with that.
Mm-hmm.
Gotham, I'm honestly, as much as I'm a big fan, I'm kind of sick of Batman stuff,
But Batman's
You
not.
always say that.
Batman's
I
not
always
going
say
to
that
be.
because
Batman's
it's so
not.
saturated with
Dive
Batman
right
all the
into
time.
it.
But Batman's not in it though.
Yeah,
Batman's
but
not going to be in
we
it.
all know what the story's about, though.
I guess, but I mean, it starts with a 10-year-old Bruce Wayne. How
Yeah,
can
the
you
story-
possibly talk Batman's not even close yet at that point?
But I don't care.
Okay, fair enough. Do you think there's a possibility that these shows can be connected? Creating keep in mind they're all on different
2 of them
networks.
already are.
I'm talking.
Flash,
I'm talking Constantine and.
Well, no, because
Gotham.
Gotham takes place in a different time.
But if you assume that by the time, if you go off of what the producers of Arrow have said, that the Green Arrow that we know from the comics will be the Green Arrow that finishes the series, right? The one with the beard, the one with. The one we've seen lately in the comics is the more youthful kind of one that we have now. But the classic version that we know of is the older, the kind of older guy. So if that's the case, maybe they're concurrent, and a 10-year-old Bruce Wayne, by the time he's at his prime, will be at the same age that the older
He'll be at the right
Green
age
Arrow,
for that,
right?
yeah.
So that matches up. So that's actually happening at the same time. For instance, Harley Quinn was just introduced is teased in Arrow in the last episode. So they're in it's a episode about the Suicide Squad. Deadshot is in it. Bronze Tiger's in it, and at one point when they're at Argus, which is already cool.
Yeah.
It's Amanda Waller, obviously. They're in this prison area, and then these 2 characters are having a kind of a relationship relationship kind of argument, whatever, and then someone like his female voice pipes up, it's like, do you guys need like counseling or whatever? I'm a certified therapist. And it's voiced in the credits. Is voiced by Tara Strong, who's the one who's voiced Harley Quinn from the games and as well as the show.
That's cool. Either way, they have so many characters in the show, but they're all gonna be older than Batman. That's stupid.
It makes, see, that's tough. That makes because like
Harley Quinn older than Batman. Fuck that.
That makes no sense. You're right.
A couple things. The shows could take place at different times and still be connected. Like, they could be the same universe, and people are smart enough to understand that this takes place, 20 years earlier or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And also it would be best, like, knowing what Marvel's been doing for however long, like DC needs to start connecting their properties.
It's just really tough when you have the television going.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, you compare that with what Marvel's doing with their Netflix stuff, the Shield. Like those are connected, and the things from the movies are visibly affecting those those shows. It's like night and day. It's so hard to do, like, for instance, crossovers if they're on different networks. It's happened before with Buffy and Angel, but it's not common, right?
Also, though, like, those three particularly don't necessarily need to be connected. If you're doing, like, the big ones that need to be connected are all the Justice League ones.
No, I know.
Gotham is, like, pre-Batman, right?
Yeah.
So it could just be a standalone show, whatever. People can like it or not like it. And Constantine is hard to connect to any of them in the first place.
Exactly.
Even in the comic books, it's really obscure, Like, he does connect a lot, but it's always like a
lot's even. It's not even not that much. It's like it's minor connections every once in a while with big crossovers, right?
And also, it's just cool to have all these characters out there to get a backstory for people to know.
Exactly.
For one day to have a show.
Yeah, either way, it builds their brand. Either way, they're happy.
My big question is, if you're gonna tease Harley Quinn in Arrow, Harley Quinn can't exist without the Joker, and the Joker can't exist without Batman. Yeah. So in that case, Batman does exist in that universe, right? You'd assume, unless it's just like a call out or just like a fan service thing, right?
Just like what Smallville did, they did a ton of stuff like that. So
yeah, but we know that Batman does exist in that universe because they did the comics afterwards. But it was in the
the other thing is, like, you guys have, we've been talking about whether or not Arrow and this Flash will be featured eventually in the Justice League.
Yeah,
in the movie.
In like feature film character.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I'm still thinking.
I wish
possible.
that the Arrow guy would be, but the Barry Allen guy. No,
you think Stephen Amell can be a good Green Arrow?
He'd be a good Green Arrow.
I think he'd be good Green Arrow because Green Arrow's a minor Justice League character. Yeah. I think having Grant Gustin doing the Flash is tough because I think you want a big name.
Yeah, and you want a little bit older.
But you could you could get Wally West for the movies, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And then you could have this guy being Barry Allen.
At the same time, we haven't even seen this guy play the Flash yet. Like, you don't know. Maybe
we've seen him play. We've seen him play Barry Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In 2 episodes.
A little cheesy.
He's young. He looks honestly 16.
Yeah. That's what CW does.
But yeah, that's exactly that's CW casting. Everyone's 16 in those shows, and
except for what's his name, Stephen Amell or whatever.
Yeah,
he looks
old enough.
Looks a decent age.
Yeah, and he's got those mad abs or whatever. There's like every episode has a scene with his shirt off in every single episode.
Well, they have to showcase the scars and how he got him on the island and stuff.
That's true, and they do those flashbacks and the side cuts with like they'll have like a bush. The funniest one to me is like they're in a house or whatever, and there's like a plant like on the side and the end of the screen, and then they do like a pan sideways, and it's like it becomes like a tree on the opposite side. I'm like, wow, that's cheesy. It's almost as cheesy as like those like sliding pans in Star Wars. You know the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So we also got so Jeremy Irons has said he hasn't seen a script yet for Batman vs Superman. I don't know if that's very surprising. He's playing Alfred.
It's probably not a.
You don't think it's? The question is it not done because the movie's coming out in 2 years?
Not.
All right,
fair enough. Plenty of time.
Tons of rewrites and stuff.
But you also so a lot of the casting's already done, which is more you can say more about.
Who knows when they're filming his scenes? He's not going to be in every single.
That's true. As well.
Yeah, he has to be a smaller role.
He's going to be in a couple of scenes with Bruce Wayne. Nobody else probably. Well, depending on how big Ben Affleck is going to be.
I'd be surprised if there wasn't like a Batcave Batman scene. Maybe at the end.
Oh, it's just
that'd be cool. And also, we don't know that much about what Lex is going to be doing, but Alfred could have a larger role with Wayne Enterprises and have scenes against Lex Luthor and stuff like that too.
That's true.
Even just to like not have to cast a million different
actors.
Yeah,
that's true. He probably should see a script soon.
Like maybe condense him with like Lucius Fox kind of
idea.
idea.
And I don't think that'd be a huge issue.
No, I think Lucius Fox is an interesting character on his own,
Yeah.
which we've seen in the former movies. But to condense Alfred into a more involved role in the visible side would make sense too, right? What else do we have? Okay, so we talked about this last time, but or maybe in a previous episode, maybe not exactly last time, but so Batman vs Superman was bumped back. Obviously, we know that, right? And it landed in 2016, May 6th, which was a film already like a placeholder date already taken by Marvel. Since then, Marvel has announced what movie that's going to be. It's going to be Cap 3, which we know is already having the directors from Cap 2 come back to direct, and has stated now that they will not move off that date. Do you guys think that? What are the chances that someone is not going to blink and there's going to be 2 superhero movies coming out on the same day?
Pretty slim, I think.
I think it's almost impossible. There's no way you split your audience
right now they're saying because the movies aren't created yet. Like there's no way to judge.
Well, I mean, sure, it's
they're
like
playing
even
chicken
then.
right now.
And Marvel, I watched a panel. I don't know where it was, but they said that they chose the date first. Marvel did back in the day.
Yeah.
So they see no reason why to change it, and they're just gonna go with that. That's what they're saying right now.
There's no. This is what I think. There's no way they launch on the same day. There's absolutely no way. It's not good for either company.
No.
We'll more likely see DC move again, I think, than Marvel move. We know that Marvel has established this whole 2 movies a year, moving to possibly 3 or 4 movies a year down the line. Mm-hmm. And Cap 2, the buzz has been like insanely good. Everyone has been there's literally not been a single bad thing said about Cap 2 as far as I can tell. So Cap 3
when did it come out? Like a
couple weeks, like I think in what day is it? March, so April.
What is the 24th?
April 4th, I want to say.
That's next Friday.
So that something like that, I think. I'm not sure off of hand, but it's like next week or the week after.
Okay.
So, what was I even saying? Cap 3. So if Cap 2 is as good as people say and it's a huge box office hit, why would Marvel even bother moving? I mean, it makes me said why because you split your audience, but there's so much more well established than we have with just one.
Not even that.
Batman,
we also
Superman
have
movie.
Avengers 2 in between that, right?
Exactly.
So there's going to be too much Marvel hype, like DC, like as much as huge.
The train is rolling, and it's got a lot of steam.
Marvel has the power right now, and unfortunately, DC. But even then, like there's no point in them fighting because you're right, they do split their audience. Somewhat.
Exactly. Well, if you
Marvel probably wins that anyways.
Let me put this to you: those movies come out the same day. Which movie do you go to?
Out of Cap 3 and
Batman vs Superman.
I did Batman one. Batman Superman.
Okay, same.
Yeah.
I'd also go to the C.
But I think that doesn't apply to general audience.
I don't think that applies to just regular human
maybe
beings.
if they just hear Superman, Batman, like you said before, they're gonna go see that one.
If that's the name that they end up using is not one of those stupid ones that we've talked about before.
Yeah.
No idea what
Batman
versus Superman.
Cap 3 anyway. Like it could be crazy too. Like
so, what I've heard,
playoff Avengers 2, right?
What we've heard is that there's Cap 2 is a big game changer as far as the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Changes lots. There's it leaves a large impact on the rest of the films. Kind of like Avengers did with the moving forward, whereas Thor 2 doesn't really mean anything, right? Yeah. I guess you could say Iron Man 3 had some sort of impact because Iron Man is like a completely different character now, right?
Yeah, and the inception of AIM, but
yeah, even then that's just that's still background.
No,
thing,
it just
right?
like it adds more to it.
Yeah.
Like the same with Avengers.
You excited to see MODOK?
I am really excited to see how they put that character on.
They've done everything so close to how the comics have done everything. To see MODOK as a giant floating head would be hilarious, but I don't think they could. There's no way.
That'll be the one. That'll break it. That'll ruin it for everybody.
You don't do that. You don't do that. You just make it a giant computer. It's just a computer, right?
Sure.
That's how you do MODOK. All right, so
like a self-aware kind of computer, but not quite. Yeah.
Not quite like Terminator self-aware, you know. So we have a new trailer for X-Men: Days of Future Past. Impressions, Dan. First, you go first.
Yeah, that's what I said right away. It was cool. I also was kind of like in and out of watching it because I was playing my game that I'm really into. But
Quiz Up.
Quiz Up.
That was a mistake.
Quiz Up TM on the App Store. not a sponsor, but they wish they were.
God damn it, I love that game. But no, it seems pretty sweet.
It's the best trailer we've gotten so far.
The trailer didn't really... it showed a lot more action, and there was some cool epic shots. But other than that, like...
Do you remember the first trailer?
I'm ridiculously excited for it. What?
Do you remember the first trailer?
Yeah.
It was like very emotional and like...
Yeah, it was
not a lot going on.
And, yeah.
So this is like pretty much complete opposite of that.
Yeah. Showing every character, basically every character gets their due in here.
Yeah.
You see really cool shots of Colossus getting
fully metal.
Yeah.
We have who's the flame guy? That Pyro, I guess you'd assume.
He engulf himself in flames.
But maybe in the future he's able to do that.
Who else would it be?
I don't know. I'm sure there's another guy other than Human Torch.
Maybe it is Human Torch.
No.
Fox owns.
Maybe it is. And
that would be pretty. That would be pretty crazy.
Then we had Iceman. Sliding down his little thing he makes for once. Cool.
I mean, it's every major. Essentially, every major mutant gets his due in that.
Yeah. We caught a little glimpse of Quicksilver
in his stupid silver hair.
Damn it! That's gonna ruin the movie. I swear to God.
Well, he does. Okay,
he looks worse than Smoke did in the new Mortal Kombat. Okay? And they made Smoke have that long, flowing white hair.
It's like it's one thing if they had it's one thing if he had silver hair, right? That's one thing. He has a silver leather jacket. He looks like straight out of the '60s, but with silver painted on him instead.
He looks like a character from an Austin Powers movie. Everything all silver white and then like blue goggles.
Okay, like goggles make sense though, right? If you're running really fast, like your eyes might dry out though, right?
You know what? He doesn't need.
No, he's adapted to that. If he can run that fast.
All right, fair enough. Either way, I'm excited that we saw what like looks like to be like the really badass Sentinels of the future, right? We've seen Peter Dinklage. Peter Dinklage had a speaking part in there.
Small role.
Yeah, it looks like there's a battle there, like Storm and stuff, where it's probably towards the end.
Yeah.
And they're all gonna die, but then they have this thing where they go back into the past to stop that battle from happening. Then they'll come back.
You think that? So you think there's gonna be a final climax happening both simultaneously, past and future?
Or that might already happen.
Okay.
Well, yeah, maybe that'd be kind of cooler.
And then half them die, maybe.
Yeah, half them die, and then Magneto and Xavier get together and kind of
Wolverine and the last three. It seems like because they're in the room and like.
But there's been
blowing up.
There's been set photos of other mutants in that room with them.
There wasn't too many claws in that trailer.
No, they're not. They're finally not just using pure Wolverine to sell.
He looks pretty badass though. Back in the '70s, though, did you see him in the background there?
No.
He had the pointy hair again. The bigger chops.
Yeah, even if that's even possible. So speaking of Wolverine, James Mangold, who directed The Wolverine, not to be confused with Wolverine, terrible film.
X-Men Origins.
So we all liked, I think, The Wolverine.
Yeah, I liked it.
For most part, the end kind of, but the rest of it was really great, right? So he's gonna be back to direct the next Wolverine movie, whatever that is.
Wolverines.
Wolverine.
What if it's Wolverine? It's set to come out in 2016, or set to start filming in 2016.
Jesus.
After the release of
Apocalypse.
So X-Men Apocalypse, which is the future
Which
sequel
I
to this
feel
one.
that one. When's that one gonna be released? 2016.
2016.
Can we just stop doing stories with crap like that?
What? Apocalypse?
The movie that this is okay. So there's Apocalypse, which is the sequel to Days of Future Past, and then we're talking about a Wolverine movie that comes out 2 years later.
Sure, no. Okay,
that's what we do with Marvel the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what they
to me.
We knew about Avengers 2 3 years in advance. Like obviously we're gonna.
I don't like it.
But Apocalypse though.
But we know the name.
I knew about Apocalypse. I'm more excited for that. And now we're talking about something else.
Okay, so my question here.
All the story is that they've announced there's going to be another Wolverine movie,
and they've
announced that Hugh Jackman is going to be Wolverine again.
Well, the announcement is that Mangold's back,
and Wolverine,
which he wouldn't be back if Hugh Jackman wasn't coming back.
Basically, he's back.
So that's got to be his last one, right? That's what 4 years from now.
Yeah.
So they're like we can all agree he's getting up there in age, right? He can't play Wolverine forever.
It doesn't really matter though because he is the character. He's making the character. He's living the character.
Sure, no, I get that.
That is the Wolverine, so he can keep going as long as he wants.
No, because you can't. No, because he gets older.
That is the
Wolverine doesn't age.
It doesn't matter. He ages slightly. Yes, he does. He was an infant child. And then
well, no, but Once you when the whole thing is the mutant gene like manifests at adolescence.
But he's been alive for like 400 years or more. Like it can.
No, I think he's since like the Civil War, right?
Something like that. It's like 200 years.
He starts at like 1800s. He's born, so around then.
Yeah, so maybe it's just starting to degenerate at this point.
No, sure, no, and he's already had like his claws chopped off and the stuff stuck out. So maybe he's getting older, right? My question is, if that is one of his last films, when he's coming up to his final role.
Okay, you want him to die?
No. When he's no. Would you want to see him do like an Old Man Logan style film where he's given up? Given up violence.
At that stage in that
he probably will do
like
one.
5 years from now. Old Man Logan.
It's like 6 years from now.
Yeah.
And
because so much of the Marvel universe will be set up, and hopefully by then they
figured out how to do it.
Mangold and Jackman are like huge fans of the comic source already. They've read tons of it.
I think most people have read Old Man.
And I'm pretty sure they've asked him about it too, and he said he likes that comic a lot. So,
well, it's such an interesting take because it's a Wolverine who's given up violence, right? And he's like he refuses to pop his claws, right?
And that's the end of his story arc, pretty much.
The story itself is kind of odd. There's a whole thing with like the
Hulks.
Hulks.
Also cool. It's an alternate future.
No, but the Hulk thing is kind of odd, right?
That's not going to be in it though, probably.
No, you'd assume you'd do something different, or maybe Hulk's in it. It's
actually perfect to end his career as the Wolverine,
and then you could reboot it with another actor because there's going to be another Wolverine. It's going to go on, right? Yeah. Okay, so going from a director coming back with Mangold to a director not coming back, Mark Webb, who's directed Amazing Spider-Man, is now directing Amazing Spider-Man 2 and 3. Won't be back for 4, which they've already announced.
Why didn't they call it the Spectacular Spider-Man or some shit?
Amazing Spider-Man is more well known as a comic title.
But I honestly thought they were going to do that though.
Like Amazing, Spectacular,
and then
Ultimate,
and then what's the other one?
There's so many more. There's a lot of actually those are like the main ones. But either way,
Stupendous.
Actually, I think that might be one. That might be one of them. So he's not coming back. The fact that they're doing 4 for sure is ridiculous to me. We already know that they're doing a Venom and a Sinister 6 movie, but 4? They've announced 4. They already have announced it. Haven't finished 3. Haven't even started.
In the second movie, though, they've already announced this whole story about the actual unveiling of his parents and what they found out, which was the Oscorp and all those superpower things, which can play out now.
And now like there's a goblin in the second movie. Like it's getting more into.
And we saw the costumes. We saw Octopus. We saw
Vulture.
Yeah. Shocker's probably in there.
Shocker.
He's always a good one.
But I don't. Okay, so did you guys like the first Amazing Spider-Man?
Yes.
I didn't like it.
Wait a second.
I loved it.
Mark Webb got the job from doing what before?
His last
did like 300 Days of Summer or something like that.
No, he did like a good action movie or some shit.
I can look it up.
I'm pretty sure that's why he got the job.
I can look up his IMDb, but okay. So if his action is what did it, did you like the action from Amazing Spider-Man?
No, the first one, the action I thought was bad. But all the new trailers.
Well, the CG wasn't even good.
Yeah, the CG was terrible.
Yeah.
The new one, it looks a lot better. Like a lot more scenes.
The stuff between Spider-Man and Electro looks
like that slow-mo scene or whatever. Like a lot of special effects there.
Okay, so do you want to know his filmography since 2009?
Just
2005?
Just a little bit before Spider-Man.
Okay, Jesse McCartney up close was 2005. 500 Days of Summer, like I said, 2009. The Office, Lone Star, 2 television series, 1 episode each, and then Amazing Spider-Man. He got it for 500 Days of Summer.
That makes no sense. You didn't get it for that.
Well, there's nothing. There's no other. Green Day and International Super Videos, No Doubt. He has a very small filmography here. 3 Doors Down, A Wave. This. There's
nothing on the internet he did. No web series or anything.
Well, no, I'm pretty sure he got it because he was able to do a good job with that. I mean, 500 Days of Summer was well received critically, right? I mean, it's not what you'd expect for the next director of Spider-Man, but I mean, who did we have for Thor? It was the guy who directed a couple episodes from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
But that's not what you expect for a big action, because there's not a lot of action going on in Game of Thrones either. I mean, there is more recently, anyway.
That's a different podcast.
Anyway, so with Mark Webb leaving Spider-Man, we can put an end to all the Spider-Web jokes for the next 5 years. Or whatever.
Until then.
There's a lot of puns you can make. So no female doctor. We talked about this before. Doctor Doom. There's a rumor that he was going to be a female. So that's not happening. There's 4 no-name actors up for the role. I guess kind of like the main cast was announced. There are not a lot of big-name actors in there. So we have Sam Riley, Eddie Redmayne, Toby Kebbell, and Domhnall Gleeson all up for the role of Doom. Exactly. So the final 7 episodes of S.H.I.E.L.D. are going to air without interruption. So a lot of this season has been interrupted. There's been like gaps between episodes.
Okay.
So starting with the week before Cap 2 comes out, there's going to be an episode. The week after Cap 2 comes out, there's going to be an episode. I think there's going to be a break, and then the final 7 are without interruption are being aired.
And they're going to deal with the fallout of Cap 2, right? Yeah,
exactly. Included in this episode, though, is another Marvel character that we haven't seen in the new MCU yet. So Glenn Talbot, who is in the old Ang Lee Hulk film, which we know is not canon, right? Mm-hmm. So this just proves further that fact that it's not canon. So we have the character returning for S.H.I.E.L.D. It's going to be played by Adrian Pastar. He's from Heroes. And what else does Feige have to say? Oh, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver won't be Inhumans in Avengers. Saying that he's interested in the Inhuman story, but won't replace, is not going to like jump in and replace mutants with Inhumans in the new MCU.
So they're just superpowered people,
I guess, or they just won't address it at all with how they have their abilities, and maybe once they've managed to strike a deal with Fox, they can again.
They have to say something.
Do you?
Yeah.
Why?
Because just how.
I mean, how do you?
They've explained to everyone else.
How do you explain Scarlet Witch's powers?
I'm not saying I don't know how. I'm
Hex
saying,
magic.
Yeah. Just saying they need to find some way to do it.
Well, someone has super speed, so he has super speed. I mean, like I don't know, like why do you have like you don't have time to address every single character?
They have to hint at some sort of family that they have, like background.
Rumors are that they're going to be like the son and daughter of Baron von Strucker, perhaps. But that's
something where they're from some sort of lifelong like family blood.
Like
maybe. That could explain it. I'd be fine with them not really addressing it, and then when they can strike a deal with Fox,
maybe the world is ready for just to believe that they're just are superheroes. They don't need to have an origin story. They can just exist.
I think we're very much at that point.
As long as they're strong enough characters, but which it doesn't really seem like. I don't know.
We don't know. They seem to have.
They can't have that big a part of the movie.
No, I know.
Who?
Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Yeah, they will. They're gonna be huge. I think they'll be huge.
How? You have already a whole roster of superheroes in the last
film. That movie's gonna be 5 hours long.
They just
it's
are.
Gonna be fucking
I hope it's 5 hours long.
It's gonna be 5 hours long.
No, I mean it's gonna be a regular length
Yeah.
film, but like there's only so. I agree. Only so much you can do. I mean, then who's cut? Like, does Thor only have a very small part? Maybe. I mean, he only had a small part in the last one.
Another thing about all these crossovers that you wish to happen, like, we can't always be striving for that end game of everything coming together, you know what I mean? Like, one step at a time here.
Well, then what is the end game?
Well, you just keep, like, with Fox and event, like, just too much. All we want right now is Spider-Man and the Avengers. That's basically all we need right now. Let's just focus on that.
You don't want to see mutants at all?
No, that's later on, man. That's not like we need to be always fighting for that, you know what I mean? Like,
I think
they're interesting characters enough on their own. There's already lots of them. So
no, I agree. I think they make a great solo universe on their own. We've seen that with X2 and other movies and First Class. Great movies. Mm-hmm. They don't need to be attached to the Avengers. In fact, when we see them attached to the Avengers, it clogs things up. It makes it a little bit cluttered. But I think it can be done. I'd like to see it maybe done, in the future. But
the thing is, some of those characters, like the ones that actually join the Avengers, Wolverine. Those are some of the coolest Avengers too.
Yeah, well, Scarlet Witch
Wolverine
is the Avengers at some point.
The rest of it, and then Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were Avengers as well. Like I think they were first Avengers before they were acknowledged as being mutants or something. Like that.
Okay, I'm not sure exactly. That's why that's why they have the rights.
Yeah.
It's like a wishy-washy thing there. Either way, there's photos now of Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, and as well as the Hulkbuster armor. That Marvel released in a they did like a mini documentary thing on ABC the other day. I didn't get a chance to see it, but it looked interesting. Anyway, they showed off these images. Jeremy, what do you think of like the Hulkbuster stuff? Like that's pretty sick, eh?
Yeah, looks all good. Have we seen that? Did we see that armor at the end of Iron Man 3?
Kind of. A little bit. Like you saw a version of that, but this one looks even bigger than that.
I thought it looks more scaled down. It doesn't look as chunky.
Like according if you go off like size wise, his armor here is larger than the Hulk is. And the Hulk is already pretty massive, right?
And this means he's fighting the Hulk in this movie as well.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Every single one of their art.
How do you fit all these things in there?
I don't know, but I'm just saying.
Not necessarily.
They filtered it.
It just means somebody with that armor fights the Hulk.
Oh yeah, sure, that's true.
Because also Iron Man 3, he blew up all of his armor.
That's true, but that doesn't mean he didn't make
similar
more
technology.
And then someone was in Iron Patriot's armor to fight other people too. So. Yeah.
That's true. I would be very surprised if that's not Tony Stark.
But most of the time, that art is always like exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like the costume.
Like you could literally take that image and then like place it over a scene in a movie, and it's almost that shot like exactly.
Like we had like Thor and Loki fighting one time.
Yeah.
Like Captain America like in the battlefield, same suit.
Exactly. That Thor and Loki one is like an exact replica of the scene that they're fighting in the.
Like now we have the costumes of those two, and
it's okay. So the costume of Quicksilver, better than
like
X-Men one, right?
Well, it just looks like a dude.
It just looks like a blue tracksuit or something.
It looks to me like the guys
There's no detail on it.
It looks to me like the shirts from the new Star Trek. Like like those like tight blue and red and all those shirts. It looks just like that to me.
I wish there was more. I mean, we already have all these like fantastical characters, like those ones.
Yeah,
they seem the most tame out of anything.
This Scarlet Witch outfit is her literally in like a white sundress with like a.
But that's also part of their characters. I think they said that they're like brother sister orphans kind of thing. Like they're more down to earth. Like,
makes sense. But like the whole Scarlet Witch outfit from the comics is a little ridiculous anyway.
Yeah.
But this one is like it doesn't even go even close. Like there's like the very iconic headpiece that obviously not here.
Yeah.
The only similarity is that she's wearing a red blazer in this. That's literally the only thing. I don't know. They've always been trying to at least give nods to the comics. I think at least with Scarlet Witch they didn't really do that, which just makes sense because like I said, really really weird if you did like the boob shirt kind of thing from the comics. So let's move on to Star Wars stuff. So I'll just start off with my obligatory Star Wars, Clone Wars stuff because there's always at least one thing.
I thought the show was over. I you saw the last season.
So they've released the official
the brand new season.
The official
lost episode.
The official episode order. So all like the right way they're supposed to be watched because they weren't released in the right time frame. So what else? Okay, so if you're starting new. Maybe that you should look into that.
I'm 6 episodes in.
And watch how that goes.
Of what the
Clone Wars?
Yeah. 5, I
think. Okay, so in the biggest the story of the day, it's officially announced that Star Wars Episode 7 will be set 30 years after the events of Return of the Jedi. So,
how many years?
30. So 30 years since the movie essentially came out.
Okay. To make room for the age.
To make room for the age of the main cast. Yeah. Exactly.
And to give the kids time to grow up to an age where they...
Well, exactly. What does it say? So the announcement had that, as well as saying that a trio of new young leads, along with some very familiar faces, will be seen. Obviously, again, obviously. Well, when did we expect it to pick up the right next day? Right, we destroyed the Death Star. Great. Now what? No.
There's probably a lot of unanswered questions in that 30-year gap.
No, sure. Which means there's room for a new television series in there, right?
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
I mean, although most of the television series have been taking place over a 5-year one, although they have never made that live action one that they've always been talking about, making it live action Star Wars series. Okay, so. And the final Star Wars thing, because Star Wars stuff is always weird because it's so secretive with J.J. Abrams. It's hard to get news out of it, so it's always rumors. So Lupita Nyong'o, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. She's from 12 Years a Slave. Is up for a major female role.
She won Best Supporting Actress.
Lupita Nyong'o.
Okay, so she's up for a major female role that isn't tied to the family lines of episodes 4 through 6. Obviously,
the third black person in Star Wars.
There's a funny meme with her.
And
Brad Pitt. Have you seen that one?
No.
At the Oscars, and he's like hugging her after she won, or watch what to go up.
No.
Yeah.
And it says like, "I said we want to adopt you."
That's pretty funny. So you say that it's like, the third black character in Star Wars.
Yeah.
But
who's the
final
Mando and who else?
Mace Windu.
Oh yeah.
And then so the final part is that she could possibly be a Sith. So obviously, right?
She could be that chick who is like painted white with like the red circles or whatever.
One of the
dual wielding sabers.
It'd be weird to cast a black woman to paint her completely white.
Well, you know what I mean. She's got like the rings around her neck, right?
No, I know. She's an assassin in Clone Wars. You'll see her eventually.
She actually
no.
Oh, okay.
And she does appear in the films in a very.
Spoilers, you motherfucker.
So she's in no. She's seen in the background in episode 2 in
the movies.
Yes, in the movies. You can see her in the background in the movies. She plays a larger role in the Clone Wars. But either way,
she's major in the cartoon.
Yeah, so she plays a major part in the original before the Clone Wars new series. They did those two they're very well received. Everyone really liked those. So anyway, I just think that would be I'd be very odd to see. I guess take a black woman and
that person's body shape and.
I guess what you would say is that it's not her being black. Is like.
No, I know, but still, it
doesn't really matter.
No, I know. I don't know.
But you know what? You understand?
A white person has makeup or a black person has makeup.
It's like, is it okay? So let's take a white person paint them completely white. Let's take a white person and paint them completely black.
Pretty sure that's happened before.
Yes, it has before racism.
Think about that character. If you were to cast a character
before racism.
Well, I mean, like when no, I know exactly what I mean. Like before he was like.
But no, but just.
Okay, but that character, the way she talks, the way she acts, like who would you cast?
Oh, I know. I know what you're saying. A black person would probably fit that, like the body shape. Well, very tall, very slender.
No, that's what I was saying. I just didn't say it like that. I just
said it very racistly.
The way she talks, the attitude, it's just like how
I can't remember her name now. I wish I knew. I could recall it. I'm not good, obviously, with names. You guys probably know that by now. But either way, if she survives all the way through there, that'd be pretty cool. If she's a Sith, though, that'd be also interesting. So we'll move on to Sony stuff. So GDC was this week. There's some stuff I wanted to touch on. I don't think we'll have time. There's some panels where people talked about people not really caring about plots in games and connecting more with characters, whereas in television shows it seems to be more the opposite, and like movies. And then there's also with another one where they talk about people really not finishing games. Like a majority of people never finish a single player game.
That makes no sense to me.
It makes no sense to me either.
Makes sense to me.
What?
There's games you haven't finished. I know you finished most games.
I've finished
every game
out of my entire library. There's like 3
finish.
games that I haven't finished.
I don't know what that.
The only game I haven't finished is the latest Tomb Raiders because I lent it to my girlfriend and I haven't brought it back.
Yeah, she's never playing that.
Yeah, I know.
But I agree with that. Like certain games.
No, even back in the day when I would rent games.
Because with the whole panel of the story and plot. Story-driven games for me, I want to get through that plot and story to learn.
Because you like to follow the plot.
But for a lot of people, it's like, do you have time to do the repetitive motions of a 20-hour video game
or longer, 40 with some? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know? Sometimes things will come up. New games will come up too as well.
Exactly. Especially in the fall when you got like games every week.
You'll be entrenched in other games, and then you won't have time to go back, and you won't want to go back.
Yeah. I mean, I brought those up together because I think they're very related.
Yeah, they're very relatable.
But I mean, there's games that I haven't finished, like Transformers, that one that was made by
War for Cybertron.
The first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never finished that only because the gameplay was kind of tough for me.
Yeah, I didn't finish either because the second or third level or something, I didn't.
It's like you can't. It's weird because like everything looks. Not that I want to talk about like those games that much, but like everything looks the same. It's all like you can't really see what's going on. It's like kind of like playing back in like the N64 days, and it's all just a blur. Everything, all the walls look the same as characters. But a game like Batman or Dead Space or Uncharted, like I can't see people just stopping and not finishing those. No, I get it.
I know a guy at work, he was playing The Last of Us. We talked about it like extensively. He loved it, and he still hasn't finished it.
I know a friend at work that literally skipped every cutscene in Uncharted. Literally skipped them
Damn it.
and played the entire game just for the action scenes. Makes no sense. I know. I don't get it either.
Yeah, you're not too far off from that, though. You skip cutscenes in the very beginning. No, in the very beginning of a game. Like
only if I've already seen it.
I don't know, man.
So what they did was they did like a test where they compared people's knowledge and accuracy of recalling their favorite movies plot and characters versus their favorite games plot and characters.
Yeah,
and found that and it's kind of wishy-washy.
It's very smoky.
But like the idea is that people remember their favorite movie's plot more easily and more accurately.
Whereas they remember the characters in video games.
I think that's kind of inherent to the medium.
Yeah, because it already is, because you're playing as that character and all you're doing is maybe just bashing down enemies.
Like, can you name to me what the plot is in Uncharted 1? What's going on in that game? But you know...
In Uncharted 1, yeah, you're like a treasure hunt. It's really...
Exactly.
Yeah, really right.
But you know Drake, though, right? Yeah. You know Drake and you know Elena.
But it's so much longer and there's so many more plot twists that it's hard to remember every single detail.
Video games, by definition, immerse you as the character. You're not just watching the character, you are the character.
Well, I think sometimes
that's the main argument that a lot of people have been having on the internet, actually, right now. Yeah. Is that one right there.
Yeah. I mean, like, where you're exactly in a television show and a movie, you're watching a character who exists already.
They're making the decisions. You can root for them or not root for them.
Even if it is a main character, it's not you. Like,
and now nowadays in games, you're making the decisions as the character, so they're
especially
your
with
own decisions.
Mass Effect, where you're making like the good versus evil,
and I feel like Dead as well.
Exactly, I feel like there'll be in the future. The choices will be less black and white. You know, where with Mass Effect, it's like this is the good decision, it's blue. And this is the bad decision. It's red.
Even they tell you that. They've already kind of...
the way I played it was I did, in the situation at hand, I chose what I would do in the situation. I didn't see the red or blue. I just did what I would have done.
Well, that's why you didn't get the red or blue options. You have to have a certain level to get
But when you do whatever you want to do...
Exactly. Is that probably with
once
game
you
design?
Get to that level,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, with game design, is that an issue alone? Like, should you have to build all the way up to be able to choose a good or versus bad option?
That's the flaw in that game, in my opinion, is that you want to have just blue, then you have to always just choose that. What I did is I leaned to the side of blue, but when there's certain situations where I felt someone was wrong, I would do an opposite decision, but I'd still have lots of blue.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't have the full blue to do all those crazy other options to get out of situations.
Yeah, like there's one scene where you have to have full blue to talk. What's that girl with the bald head in Mass Effect? So Jack, she's like crying or something or pissed off.
And then you bang her,
and you have to have full blue to talk, like to convince her to do something. I don't know.
Yeah, but in my opinion, that stuff
is actually what happens.
You have sex with her, for sure.
With full blue?
Yeah.
Really?
But it's not about banging her. It's about like being the only person that's ever loved
her.
And
also adhering to that's
lame.
Black or white is also kind of an easy way out because you know you have that option coming up.
Exactly.
Click that and it's done.
Yeah.
Whereas the beauty of Mass Effect is playing in the gray area and not always having the easy option out and figuring out what you should.
Mass Effect did a good job of that compared to other, even like BioWare RPGs. In KOTOR and in Jade Empire, they have the same kind of system where you get good or bad points. But say you have a bunch of good points and you do something bad, it takes away from your good points. Mass Effect doesn't do that. You get Renegade and Paragon points.
Yeah.
And Renegade don't take away from Paragon. It just unlocks...
That makes a lot of sense, because I feel like...
Yeah, because otherwise, if in Knights of the Old Republic, if you play as a Grey Jedi, there's like one little special armor that you get, but other than that, you don't get the benefits of either side. You just suck. You know?
And also, in Walking Dead, you don't see any of that amassed anything.
You only know at the end.
You only know from what you've done, how could affect this person. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think they show you, like, this person will remember that, what you said. I think that's way more powerful when you don't really know what's going on, and then somebody can come back and bite you in the ass.
I think the whole bring it back around, the fact that most people don't finish their games, I think is probably an issue. And I think going forward, I think game design should probably address that in some way.
No, I don't like that. That means making shorter games.
Not everybody has to do it, though.
It means making more engaging
those games. Whereas Ken Levine and Bioshock Infinite,
yeah,
the Irrational, whatever, that's what they're doing, right?
They're moving to shorter games.
They're switching to shorter games.
But even then, those games that you guys are talking about, Uncharted and Last of Us, those are comparatively short games.
Yeah, but they're still...
Compared to Mass Effect, absolutely.
But most people. To you, yes, because you sit down and play them all at once.
Well, like I said, comparatively to Mass Effect, which is a 45-hour game.
45-hour game, yeah. Whereas guys like us would actually sit there and play for 10 hours a day, which you've done.
Yeah, with Mass Effect, I literally played for 12 straight hours. Yeah. And I was like, I felt sick at the end, but I did not regret a single moment.
One sitting, I beat Uncharted 3.
But
what?
Those games are still...
When did you take a shit?
You can stop into the washroom. But those games already have their following and will be backed by people, right? They're just talking about like
Going
the test
forward.
that they did and like everyone in total.
I think you
lost,
could
so
get
people
into
aren't
this like a
finishing.
lot more, and you could say like how people today are much more like don't have the same attention spans and blah blah blah. I don't want to
No,
get into
it's
that.
True, it's true to a certain extent. It's just not like they're not like 100% correct. You know what I mean? Like it's.
But those studies aren't like don't prove anything or
Yeah.
disprove anything. I just think it does shine a light on the fact that some people I think are turned off by some of those longer games, and that
Yeah.
maybe a way of playing those longer games in shorter way or in a better
There's other
way.
ways like I don't go back and finish games when more come out because I have to play those games.
Exactly.
I'd rather play those games.
No, this is one of the challenges video game companies always face, though, is whether you
Replayability.
target the larger audience or the hardcore gamers, right?
I think you can.
And most of the time,
It's
they're
hard
doing,
to find a happy medium between
Most-
both.
yeah,
What is
most of them-
Uncharted? I feel like they've done a
Most
good
of the
job
time
of
now
that.
they're doing everyone.
I bring this up a
Their
couple of
games.
times, but I think that they've not mastered, because I don't think anyone's mastered it, but I think they've done the best job to date of finding that balance between hardcore gaming and casual gaming and plot and characters. I think that exemplifies to me both
No, they
those
do a good
things.
job of all those things, but if people aren't finishing their games, they're going to make shorter games.
And it just the subject matter lends to it that already because, like Batman, like that's a nerdy subject, right? Like it's
Yeah,
comic books.
absolutely.
Not everyone's gonna jump into that, right? Whereas Uncharted is kind of it's easier for people to jump into, right? It's like a Indiana Jones type thing, like
Yeah.
a movie, right?
Yeah.
I honestly can't think of ever playing a game and thinking that it was too long.
Every single Red Dead Redemption and every
And
single
I say
Grand Theft
Mass
Auto.
Effect. I say Mass Effect too. I think
No.
those are too long.
Like honestly, every Mass Effect, most
No,
games
like-
I play, like I wish it was longer.
Yeah,
Because in every movie too, like imagine like I wish there was a constant feed of what's going
That's
on
one
in
of
the
the
Marvel
beauties of
Cinematic
video games
Universe,
versus
so that I always knew
And
what was
then-
going on.
And
Like-
it's like you don't want Batman to be super long. Like it's a story. You have
Sure.
to finish a story. You can't be always out there all the
But
time.
the thing
for
with
hours.
Batman is though there is a constant. It is never ending. That's the
Yeah, no,
whole
but it's
point.
never gonna be 40 hours.
No, I don't want a 40-hour
game.
Batman game.
But
no.
Mass Effect, we do a 40-hour Mass Effect game because there's so many planets
Well,
and side
and
missions you can go to.
That's one of the beauties of video games, though, is that you can pick it up and stop whenever you want. It can be a bunch of stories back to
Okay, but
back
then
to
you have
back.
the issue of engagement where you have so you do put it down. Does your game have the ability to
Yeah.
be picked up again 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, and still be as engaging
And
as
again,
it was when you
that's-
started?
there's a different answer for every person out there, and it's hard to find, like...
No, obviously, I get
I don't-
that.
So that's why you have never said a game
Yeah,
has ever
no,
been too
I
long.
like to play video games.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to what I was going to get at before I said we don't want to get into that. PlayStation revealed the Project Morpheus
Morpheus.
Morpheus VR headset. So for the PlayStation 4.
It's a sweet name though, actually.
Morpheus?
Like Matrix.
Matrix, exactly. Very cool. They've had they showed demos of a virtual walk on the moon or
It's the Oculus
Mars.
Rift.
Virtual walk on Mars.
It's the Oculus Rift. That's
Essentially,
what
yeah. But it's okay. It's gonna be available
less
for
powerful
developers
right now or
soon.
something like that.
It is less powerful because it has to
It's still
work off
younger
of
as well.
the PS4
and
stuff.
it's a little younger too.
Exactly. I think we've all excited about virtual reality. I think we can pretty much agree that that's not, if not exactly the future of gaming, it's at least a major part of it.
Yeah, like I didn't really
It's
care
for
about
sure
it.
the future of
Yeah,
gaming.
I didn't really care about it until all these people that I know and respect are all saying it's a game changer, it's the
Yeah.
future. So I've never tried it. I want to try it.
Well, I mean,
will ever be able
Oculus
to
Rift
try
is
it, but-
not available. Oculus Rift's whole thing is that they want to be available on a store shelf and be affordable.
Yeah.
Problem is the technology to do virtual reality well is very expensive.
Yeah.
So
But
you have
Sony,
if you have a
they have
400
the consoles out there, they're going to have to make.
they
it
have
affordable.
that plus they also have the advantage of being in the development of physical hardware already, right?
Yeah.
So they have that advantage.
It's like
Um,
kind of like when the Kinect came out, right? It's an attachment for your system, so it's kind of like another console launch almost.
Problem
with
is,
that headset.
can you justify another $300
No, that's
on
the
a
thing.
VR
How much
headset?
is it going to be, right?
I don't know.
The Kinect was what, $150
Exactly,
more?
and it was the best-selling peripheral of all
and it
time.
was still sold pretty well, yeah. So,
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like,
but with the newspapers and everyone backing this thing up,
I agree.
It could be huge, right?
and it's like, but will it be compatible with every game? Probably not. You know, like then.
and this is
a little
way
bit
too
too
early.
early.
This is not going to come out for a while. I mean, we don't even have PS4s at the stores right now.
You can't get them.
No, but
speaking
I
of-
saw an ad saying they're coming to Canada soon.
That's
But
hopefully.
all the price changes are in effect now.
So which I was
Did
going
you
to say,
buy
bring up
Infamous?
PS. I did $70 for a
No,
copy of
$80
Infamous.
with tax.
69. No, it's $69.99. Yeah, $80
Yeah,
with
$80
tax.
tax.
Yeah.
It used to be $70 with tax.
Yeah. So PlayStation 4s have gone from $399.99 to $449.99 in Canada,
$50 more.
and $59.99 to $64.99 for controllers and not for games, for controllers and the camera, and then from $59.99 to $69.99.
But some of the games that were already out
aren't this expensive.
still
Yeah,
$59.
The problem. Okay, so we've dealt with this issue before in Canada, and it took us years and years and years to get out of it. The dollar was literally above or at par with the American dollar for like I would want to say at least 5 years before the prices became like equal, right? Before they dropped the prices, they became equal with the American prices.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that a weak dollar it affects their bottom line, their business, they're making money. But the problem is with this is the price change is not equivalent to what the issue with the dollar is, and the dollar's not going to drop to 75 cents again. It's not. Well, we probably won't.
It's pretty fucking close right now.
What is it? It's 80
like
something?
80. It's around 80.
I mean, so this is something we dealt with in
when
95.
When I first heard of it, though, I honestly thought it was just because they're selling so well, let's just up the price of this shit. Once it gets available, they're going to buy it anyways. Like, that's honestly
So,
what I thought.
no, that's not what it is.
Like,
but if you look... Okay, but... So
they
you
can
look
take
at
advantage of the situation.
No, absolutely, you're right.
That's
but
kind of what
but you don't see
yeah.
you don't see Microsoft raising their prices.
Because they're already at $4.99. You can't sell a console with 5 the first number. It's
Yeah,
not gonna
well,
happen.
you did ask Sony about that.
Mm-hmm. They're only raising theirs up $50, which is still cheaper than the Xbox One.
Yeah,
And the peripheral, the eye camera, or whatever,
isn't
sold like crazy too.
They didn't even make enough of them. They're like, we do. My
really
sister bought one. I don't even want
you're
it.
lucky.
I don't even want it.
They underestimated the power of that thing.
By the way, I was thinking, I might, for anyone listening, I'm gonna start streaming. I think some of my gameplay on Twitch with the PS4.
No one's gonna watch
with
that.
my infamous Second Son, which I just bought, like I said. So do you guys want to know? Do you guys want to know of Infamous?
Know what?
Do you guys want to know about it?
Any shit.
Okay, first of all, I can't get over how much of an idiot you are with that.
No, don't say anything about the story. Just say.
I'm not gonna talk about the story. Gameplay.
Say anything gameplay compared to Infamous.
So Infamous 2. Okay, so
I really play Infamous 2.
The biggest difference between 1 and 2. 1 and 2, you felt. This is the first thing I noticed. You felt kind of small in the world.
Yeah.
Whereas in Infamous Second Son, you feel larger in the world. Even like a second.
So the buildings feel smaller.
As an exactly. as an example, in Infamous 1 and 2, a second story building might still look pretty tall and feel pretty large. In Second Son, it doesn't have that same sense of scale. Like, you feel bigger than most things. Kind of like how in Arkham, like the Batman games, the doors are massive. Like, you notice when you go into a door, they're like 7 feet high or whatever. It's like, imagine going to a door that was like only 5 feet high. That's kind of like what the impression I get from that is. You also have a larger weight. You feel heavier than you did in the previous games.
Can you still float around with the?
Yes, you can. So the idea with Infamous is that you are kind of like a power sponge with a Second Son. So you have the ability to gain like multiple powers. So 1 and 2 is just electricity, whatever, which is fine.
No, 2 had.
2 had the ice and I didn't play the bad version of Ice and Fire. But this starts with smoke, which doesn't sound very cool either, and neon. But both of them actually play very, very well. Neon, I think I enjoy more. Those are the first 2. I'm not going to talk about the rest of them because those ones are the ones that have been shown the most.
How many hours did you play of the first one?
I almost beat it.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
No.
So Dan,
I had all the power.
The tone. I don't know what it was that turned you off with the previous games. The tone is completely different in this game. Much more lighter tone. They've gone away from the comic book cutscenes. They're just regular cutscenes now.
They didn't have those in the second game, did they?
They did, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it
I
just.
don't know, man. I love the gameplay of that game.
You know what? And that's the strongest. Best thing I can say about this game is that you absolutely feel like a superhero
all I heard
at all times.
Daniel was the objectives were shitty. Yeah, they were. The first game they But it was the first game for the PS3 from that company, basically.
I played the first and second game. I thought they both.
No,
were
you didn't play
shitty.
the second game.
So, if you guys
the gameplay, the scaling the buildings, the wires, the floating, the flying, basically, like it felt awesome.
So can I say this? So the second ability you get is neon. This is not very far. You're not very far into the game at that point. And if you made a Flash game, like the Flash,
yeah.
based on that, like those abilities, you could pretty much make the coolest. Like it would be the Batman, like Arkham games for the Flash. You have the ability to run up walls. You have the ability to like you have the ability to like go very fast.
Like
it's not quite as fast as the Flash would go.
But if they upped it up a bit, it'd be the Flash. Basically.
Yeah, essentially. And you can like you hold circle and you like zoom forward and you can run up walls. You can like when you're doing that you can press X at the same time and like do these massive leaps forward. Like you imagine if you're going very fast, you could jump very far or high, whatever, right? If they could. Everything just feels smooth and tight. There's never a time when you feel like it's not doing what you want it to do. Mm-hmm. You feel like you have a lot of power. You kind of fight these characters that might as well be stormtroopers. They wear white and they have like orange shoulders, so they might as well be stormtroopers. And I'm not gonna get into the story because it picks up several years after the second one. And I don't know if you talked about this, but it takes on the good version like ending of second game, and that's canon, so that it goes on from there. Either way, the fact that there's your conduit, there's other conduits around, the game, like I said, the gameplay feels great.
Yeah, it seems a lot cooler than the other two, and
the visuals are great. Like the colors are just pop. I don't know if it's something that the PS4 is doing that the PS3 couldn't, or
it's basically your first third person next gen game, right?
Well, for me,
other than
there's the
Tomb Raider reboot and Thief or whatever.
And what's the name on the Xbox? The zombie game.
Which one's that?
The one from Capcom.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, when you guys get a PS4, which I assume both of you eventually will, right?
Yeah.
This game is for sure something you need to play.
No, I'm going to play it for sure.
Dan, you should at some point come over, sit down, play the game.
Lend it to me one time.
Dan, come over, play the game.
You can. Yeah, and you can't say because you didn't like two games in the series that are super old that you can't give this one a shot.
I don't know. It felt like the whole time I played it, I felt like it was one of those games. Like it was kind of fun. The gameplay wasn't great. It wasn't horrible in the second game. It was bad in the first, and it was always just like whatever. Like what am I doing? Like it felt like a poor-man Spider-Man, and I didn't care about the story at all.
You knowing about games and being a gamer though, this is a brand new game and a brand new system and a whole new philosophy and story.
So essentially, they're doing that. What they're doing.
Not just give it a chance.
So if you say that you didn't care about the character, I think they've done an absolutely 100% better job of making you care about this character from the beginning. Kind of going off of what they've done with with Killzone, they've dropped this is not Infamous 3. Right, it's Second Son, so you don't have to have played those games. You can jump right in, and you feel like a superhero.
Yeah, it's a superhero game.
Yeah, and that's all that matters. And the gameplay's tight. You don't have a PS4. So Brian Bendis, you guys ever know? So Brian Bendis is comic book writer.
Brian Michael Bendis.
Yes, he has a comic book called Powers. And it's being developed into a TV show. It's being developed into a TV show. Thank you, Jeremy. But for the PlayStation Network, it's not coming to TV. Right. It's coming to It's coming to PSN, which is pretty big. It's everyone wants to get into original content, so this is PSN's foray into that. I don't know a lot about Powers
other than The Tester.
Oh yeah, right. The Tester, the worst show ever made.
I watched every episode.
Why?
I enjoyed them.
Okay, so I'll just get through this stuff quick. The ability to preload games, so have them downloaded already, available to play as soon as they're launched at midnight, is going to be coming to the PlayStation 4 in next month. I believe it's rumored, but it's most likely that. Kind of what Steam has been doing. So you can have a game. You can say, "I want to buy this game." It's going to download it to your console,
then you play right away,
and then it's going to play it as soon as it's available.
And so right now, when you do it, you buy it. It downloads in the background while you do it.
Sometimes with some games, not all games do that. So some with, for instance, Battlefield, when it's installing, you can choose to install single player or multiplayer first, and then play either one, and then while the other one's installing, essentially.
Most games splits it up.
Yeah, so most games
you buy and install, you can do whatever you want.
And then but you have to wait for it to install. With this, you have to wait. There's some games that allow you to start playing and then install in the background. Some games you have to install fully.
Wait, like you're watching it.
You're watching a bar load, and then
downloading it or not.
So downloading it, it's fully downloaded,
always in the back,
fully installed, before midnight on the game's release, and then midnight hits. Boom, you can play the game, and Steam's been doing this for a long time, and you can get right in there.
Sweet.
which I'm excited for that. And I believe with that is the ability to buy a game on your phone, or I guess if you have a Vita,
the PlayStation
and then
app.
Exactly, and then it downloads to your PlayStation 4
while you're out still.
Exactly.
Awesome.
See, I don't really care about the at midnight. Like I'm never gonna play a game at midnight.
I think we've been at midnight launches for games, Jeremy.
I've never been to that one. You've gone to a bunch.
I've been to a couple, mostly for NHL for some reason,
reason,
which is odd.
I've never gone because I can just be like, I'll buy it later and
We
I'll play
went
one
at like 9 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday for Smash.
We've been to a lot.
Smash Bros was a good one. Why would you guys?
That's the only one, but I didn't go to that one. I was just at the house waiting for you.
Yeah, you just waited for us to get back.
Which was a good one. I picked the mall location. For those of you living in cold climates, go pick an EB or GameStop in a mall and then wait inside. It makes the world a difference. Dan, did you get the game that day? Because you managed to get that last final copy, right?
Yeah. And also, with the PlayStation Plus on PS3, a lot of that shit would already, like the updates, system updates, and game updates.
A lot of that doesn't
would happen. Well, with the PlayStation Plus, when you buy it, the perk was you'd set a time period for it to sign in and turn on, and do it while you're sleeping, basically.
Yeah. So the idea of the PlayStation 4,
6 a.m.
yeah. So the idea of the PlayStation 4 is that it does that stuff automatically in the background anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So what else do we have with Sony? I think that everything Game of Thrones stuff. So we have the final trailer. Dan watched it. Not much to say. Not a lot of new content there. Trailer 4 for season 4. But I will tease our other show. So look forward to the Tower Babble breakdowns of
Are we gonna
Game
do
of Thrones.
Like a pre one before the?
I think I'd like to. That's only 2 weeks from now.
God damn it! Shit, I don't know if I have to.
So we'll try. We'll try. I'm not going to promise anything, but
I can probably do another one this week if you have time.
I almost
So
always.
what are you guys gonna do? A breakdown of the trailer?
No. We'll talk about
like
going
a
into the next
preview,
season.
Go over the past couple seasons and then look what we're looking forward to for next season.
Yeah.
Why don't you just write something and do that because you know what's going to happen?
It's harder to. It's easier to do this than to write shit.
Well,
I have a couple drafts.
they're
on my
completely
computer that
different.
I'm just not writing.
Well, unless you have the same with me. I have a draft. I'm working on a story for about all the shows that that Cartoon Network's canceled, and the whole philosophy of canceling a show. Like I'm talking about cartoons, canceling a cartoon for the sake of toy sales or whatever.
You're writing a piece.
I'm writing a piece on that, which will go on to the website. Which is going to go on the website. I'm just still doing a little bit of research, and obviously I'm working with school stuff, so that I don't have a lot of time, but that will eventually come up. What else do we have with Game of Thrones? George R. R. Martin has teased that a Game of Thrones movie might be necessary to final. Okay, let me finish. Let me finish. To finalize the series because the budget of a television show might not be enough to cover the scope of the finale of Game of Thrones.
That's fucking stupid.
It makes no sense. I agree. There's no way.
That's stupid.
You need I think that what it means is you need a movie's budget to kind of finish it.
Yeah, that maybe.
You haven't even you haven't read the final book.
I haven't read the final 2 books.
You don't even know what happens in it.
There's no way.
Wait. Just say why you're frustrated.
There's no way you could.
No. You don't want a movie because you want 10 hours instead of 2 hours.
No, not even that. It's not. It would be
that's what he is.
But it wouldn't.
Essentially, what he's
No, I don't think that's
because 2 hours doesn't
happen.
cut it. Because 2 hours can't.
Dan, what if it's
because it's a different medium and they work around.
There's no way.
Do it differently.
Okay, season 1, arguably probably the least complicated of the Game of Thrones.
You're already used to the format of the 10 episodes, right?
And they still leave a whole bunch of shit out.
Yeah,
there's no way a movie's gonna cover it.
Everyone is used to that. But if Game of Thrones is leading up to something, if characters are dying and it's leading up to something,
so it's leading up
then a 2 hour or 2.5,
sure, maybe
2.5, it could be substantial enough to get all these characters. The dragon lady.
How many characters are there? Are you kidding me? There's a million characters.
They don't all need their due though. That's what the TV show is for, and that's what the books are for.
So the show is gonna go say book 7, right? It's gonna go all of book 7 except for the last couple of chapters. Then there's just gonna be a movie. What's the point of that?
If it's only chapters, then who cares? Because it's a glorified episode. If you get all your episodes up to the last 2 hours of the book and the 2 hours are a movie, then who cares, right?
I don't know. I don't see the finale playing out.
I see a problem if the last 2 books were 2 movies each. Then you're cutting a lot of stuff. But like everything, it's a movie. You have to cut up the other stuff.
The biggest issue is that you can't do a full feature film to a series that's been running for 7-8 years, which was
Also,
going to be my next story.
Even if it was like the last couple chapters of the last book that were made into a movie, I don't see the climax being that sudden. Like it's going to be a gradual. It's going to be over the whole 7th book. It's going to be a long arc. Everything.
You don't know that.
We don't know.
Of course it is. Everything in this series is long arcs that you aren't even considering. It's all
doesn't matter. A lot of people could be dead by the time we get there. It could be one battle between 2 people.
Well, then it's not a movie either. But
sure it is.
No, but
2 sides.
Anyway, the point is, I don't want to see a movie because I think it defeats the whole idea of having a series. Because how do you if you haven't seen the series, how do you go and watch this movie? You couldn't, right?
Yeah. That's the other thing. If you're enjoying it only as a series without having read the books, how does the series end? Where's your payoff?
You can go see the movie, I guess. But then, like, even then, sure, you can. As a series fan, you can buy into that.
Capable
sure,
of seeing a movie.
Kind of like with Firefly. Why not?
Yeah, but that's not how it was designed.
No, but
and there's been a lot of episodes where you've been like, whatever.
Yeah,
like episodes have like a lot of filler, a lot of who cares about this character and his stupid.
I think
quest.
I think most book readers would say you should care about those scenes.
Yeah, I know.
But
the only reason I say meh to a lot of episodes is because I think they could have done a better job with actual content from the books.
And that's what you've said a million times. But these guys are a lot better than you at doing this stuff.
Well,
and they're the
see,
creator. They're the creators. Yeah, they are. They are the creators and filmmakers and the writers. Like they know what they're doing.
David Benioff and D.B. Weiss.
They're giving you the best written stories they can based off the books.
What? No, it's D.B. Weiss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So David Benioff and D.B. Weiss have shown nothing but essentially excellent work since they've started with the series.
They're trying to,
Why should we believe that
job.
we haven't? That they're not going to continue that? Continuing off of that, they've at this point said that they're expecting the series to last about 7 to 8 seasons. Going into season 4 now, that means we're about halfway through.
They're already splitting one of the books,
right?
Kind of.
So, in my opinion, it's going to be 8 because HBO it will never let it be only 7. If they could make it 8, they will.
Yeah.
But their quote saying here is that it doesn't keep on going because it can. I think the desire to milk more out of it is what would eventually kill it if we gave in to that.
Absolutely.
So I think because they're conscious of that, we know that they probably won't fall into that trap unless they're fired for some reason.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, as much as Martin has let them know it still depends on him.
Oh, okay. So back up. David Benioff, D.B. Weiss have spoken with George R. R. Martin. He's let them know about the fates of each character, so they can lay the groundwork for future seasons.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they know everything, and that doesn't mean the books will be finished by the time the series is finished. The problem I have is that I feel like they probably would want to avoid finishing the series before the books are fully out. So do you maybe see larger gaps between seasons, or do you maybe see a prequel series, kind of like a la Spartacus, like they did with Spartacus, and having like something set with I'm not fully up with absolutely everything that happened with the Game of Thrones lore before everything in season 1.
George R. R. Martin has a novella series called The Hedge Knight with Duncan Egg. It takes place 100 years before the events of the Game of Thrones series.
Would it have impact on what's going? What's happening there have meaning to what's happening in the future?
There are characters that are in both, but not a lot because it's 100 years. But it sets a lot of the history is.
So you don't need the characters, but you need. They talk about history all the time, right?
Aemon's in it.
Exactly. So maybe you can see one of those series being a filler to keep fans in there interested before the final book is released, and then you do the final season or the final 2 seasons or whatever. Would you be a fan of that? Would you be okay with that?
I mean, I'd watch it. I don't know. They have so much content, and the way that they've already split up the second book or the third book rather, with pieces of the fourth in it, like they can split up the 5th book just as well, if not more, because the 5th is a lot longer. There's a lot more going on, and who knows where it goes 6 and 7. And Martin said it might be either 7 or 8 books depending on the story itself as well. He doesn't even know, but it's most likely 7. That sounds like a round number to me for him. Everything is 7 in that.
Yeah,
but we'll see. I don't even the pace that the show's on. I don't think it'll overtake the books. The 6th book is due, but it should be within
I don't think they'll do
a year or 2. And then he has 1 book to write, while they have to catch up. Do what?
They have to actually do. They have to do that. The next book plus the book he'll release and then the next book, the book after that, and then that. Okay.
Finish 3, do 4, even though a lot of 4 takes place between 3 and 5. 3, 4, 5, 6. And 6 and 5 can each be split up into 2 seasons, and then they have to get to 7. By that time, I'm sure he'll have written most of the book and be able to release or whatever.
Okay, that makes sense. By then, he'll have a full understanding of what's going on.
You'd hope so.
Yeah. Okay, but even then, I would still be interested in seeing a prequel series anyway, even if it's after. Because I think
that's the other thing. He wants to finish. He hasn't finished the Dunk and Egg, the Hedge Knight novellas either. That's another one of his projects. But I think
he's for sure gonna die before that happens.
He's focusing on Game of Thrones, or on Song of Ice and Fire. But that's another one he wants to finish. And there's a lot of content there that they can always go back to.
I want to get in
after he dies or whatever.
When we do, if we have the chance to do the prequel for the season 4 podcast, I want to talk about what you think or how you think that the fact that this series exists is influencing his writing, which I can't really speak to because, like I said, I don't read it, and that's a part of what we do. I watch it as a show, you read it as books, but
the thing with that is I can't answer that question until the 6th book comes out.
Because he hasn't.
Everything else was pre-season. Well, the 5th book came out a couple months after season 1 finished, so it wasn't really influenced by that. He'd already finished most of it.
That's true. I like the. It's tough to say. I like to get your take on what you might think anyway. So as a quick little extra thing for Game of Thrones is that it appears that famous movie swords can be seen in the back of the Iron Throne.
Okay.
It's not official, obviously, but like it looks essentially exactly the same. So you can see Gandalf's Glamdring, I think.
Glamdring and Glaurung?
Glamdring is in the background of one of the shots, as well as Orlando Bloom's sword from Kingdom of Heaven, as well as. But like some other movie swords.
Yeah. So it takes place after Lord of the Rings.
Fact. Anyway, that's a little aside. It might mean that they're doing call-outs, which is more likely, or that there's just were those swords that were available to use in the actual thing.
Call-outs, and to make a set design thing, they grab swords and put them in there.
Makes sense.
That's pretty cool.
So we'll get over a couple of these super quick if we can. Dan, you've been playing South Park Stick of Truth.
I have.
And
how much did you spend on that game there?
$60.
Full price.
Is it $50 or $60?
$59.99.
And if you go to Walmart, it's like $64.99.
What?
That was a mistake. I honestly.
It was a mistake?
That's a fun enough game and everything, but I feel like it would have dropped in price pretty quickly, and I could have just waited a bit.
You don't know that. The game was already delayed 3 years. I'll be very surprised if they not delayed. It was delayed 2 years.
It's an okay game. It's funny in some parts, but a lot of it like.
But are the
last time we spoke about it, I thought it was all references. It was just like, oh yeah, remember when this happened? Remember this happened? It got better.
Are those it got better?
You go to Canada and it's all like an 8-bit, like old school, like Zelda dungeon RPG. You have to go to the caverns of Quebec and like it's pretty fun. Like Canada's just like.
No, because that's how they done in the show. It's all very blocky.
Okay, but you should have waited though to buy it, probably, right?
Yeah, probably.
But even then, okay, so maybe you wait. What do you wait? 6 months for the price to drop?
I waited for that game over there, and it's $5.99 as you can see.
Dead Space right there.
3.
That game over there. It's an audio medium, so they can't see you pointing.
I paid full price for that game as well.
Yeah, he paid $6.75.
Boy, man, that's a mistake right there.
That's a good game.
$5.99. That's less than $10.
That's worth the full price.
Great game.
Okay, anyway, I'm excited. I want to play it. I'm going to.
Dead Space?
No, not Dead Space. South Park. But my question, you're talking about the callbacks. Are the callbacks funny?
Some of them.
So, would you say the majority of them?
He just said some of them.
I don't even know. Like, I don't know. It did get better, but the humor, there hasn't been as much humor as I thought.
Oh.
You know, it hasn't been as much like a South Park episode. It's been more like a... Like, it just showed, like, remember when South Park talked about this, but it hasn't actually put its own spin on anything, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they just reference a bunch of... Like, there's been some funny parts, mind you, but it's... I don't know. It's more like, remember that in Season 1, Carmen was a Duck Bellions. Remember in this season,
when
the Underpants Gnomes and, like...
Gameplay is good, though?
When it shows...
Simple RPG stuff, right?
It is. It's like old school RPG.
When it shows that you're playing it says... like in this little thing.
On the PSN?
It says you're farting around South Park or something.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of farting in
there. I like the
magic power.
What I've heard about it is that there's certain like small touches that make it. They give it like an extra little bit of touch. Like when you save the game, you'll hear that like guitar riff that you hear when it comes back from commercials. I don't know if you've ever actually saved the game or you're just nonstop and playing it.
No, I've saved that. I've never heard that actually.
Maybe you just didn't notice because you're so used to hearing that guitar riff. But I've seen videos and they're showing they'll save the game and go and it'll come back to
When I first started playing the game, there were so many of those. One thing I will say, you pick up a lot of junk in the game.
Yeah.
When you raid a chest or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of random crap and there's also useful things, but everything has its own little description and those are pretty funny.
And they're all callbacks that I bet you there's a
not all of those. Some of them are just random humor, but they're all pretty funny. That they did a great job.
Did they reference Lord of the Rings at all? Or?
It's
kind of
pretty much a giant Lord of the Rings reference.
Really? Not really.
I guess Dan would know.
They have the costumes, and it's more of a Game of Thrones reference, but even then,
and then it looks exactly like the cartoon, right? Like you're just moving the cartoon.
It might as well you might as well be playing a cartoon.
It looks exactly like it.
That's kind of awesome.
Yeah. The 3D 64 game.
So moving on a little bit quick because we're running out of time. Doug Liman, who was the director of Bourne Identity before Greengrass took over for 2 and 3 of that series, is now been signed on to direct the Splinter Cell film. Who has Tom Hardy signed on to play Sam Fisher already. That was a while ago. I don't know if we even talked about that, but that was a long time ago. Either way, that's a pretty good duo. Could we really ask for a better team for that movie? We've yet to have a good video game movie, and we just had Need for Speed. Is everything I've heard so far is that it's not the video game movie we've been waiting for. So
it's just a car movie.
Yeah, but even then, it's not a good one. So
it's not a good video game either. So
well, some of them have been good. You don't like racing games, so that's enough.
You should buy that new one actually for the PS4.
Most Wanted, or whatever it's called.
Need for Speed something.
Anyway, yeah, there's always its subtitle, but
looks cool.
The visuals are always good with the new consoles.
Yeah.
So Lego 2 has a new director. So Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who directed the first one, I think everyone who's seen it has said they've enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I really liked it. They also did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, which is also critically well received, and as well as they're involved in Community, right? Phil Lord, Chris Miller, Dan.
No.
No? I'm thinking of the Cap. No. I'm capping the Cap 2 directors.
Yeah, that's the Russo brothers.
The Russo. Okay, so yeah,
those
they're the ones. Okay, so that's confused there, but either way,
because they're both two people.
The Lego 2, the Lego movie was great. I really liked it. They've yet to do any sequels to their own movie. Oh, you know what they also did? That's right. It was 21 Jump Street was the other movie that Phil Lord and Chris Miller did. Also hilarious. I think you guys seen 21 Jump Street. You've seen 21 Jump Street. Yeah, funny.
I saw a piece of it and turned it off.
What?
Yeah.
Man, you gotta go watch it again. It's really
I turned it off
funny.
not because it was boring.
Your humor.
It is.
My humor?
You guys' humor.
Look, Jeremy thinks we have the same sense of humor. Yeah. I don't know about that, but
when it comes to Community and South Park, that stupid stuff.
It's hilarious.
Community and South Park. How do you relate those?
Those things aren't even the same.
They're exactly the same.
Oh my god! Get out of here. So Disney is officially making Incredibles 2 and Cars 3.
I like the
Finally.
Incredibles.
I like Incredibles as well.
Cars, whatever. But I like Incredibles.
Kids eat Cars up like it's candy. Like it's candy. Assassin's Creed Unity announced for the next gen. Daniel's patented official response to anything he doesn't care about.
You were planning that the whole time. When did you do that last time?
A fucking Assassin's Creed. Every time I hear you talk about Assassin's Creed, that's what's gonna happen.
No, there's another one too.
I
don't
remember.
Why
don't you buy Black Flag and play that one if you like Assassin's Creed so much?
I don't love it so much. I'm just saying I hate it as much as he does.
Avatar. I don't give a shit about Avatar.
Yeah, you know it might have been Avatar.
That was one of the other ones.
Yeah, what? It's called Unity.
It's called Unity, and
it's like futuristic or something.
It's set. It's set during the French Revolution, but just like all the other Assassin's Creed games, it has the modern or future parts to it.
The next game is gonna be called Assassin's Creed 2029.
Eventually, it'll get there. They said they have.
Eventually it'll stop.
Ubisoft said that they have
It'll never stop.
Ubisoft said that they have an end game in mind. They said they have a finale for the story somewhere. It's tough for me to believe that with Ubisoft, who likes to put out every single year. They like to put out a game, and they've done that with Assassin's Creed. Essentially, they killed Tony Hawk. They're in the process of killing Call of Duty because we know eventually it's going to end. You can't do that forever.
You never know.
The last one didn't sell as well. Ghost hasn't sold as well as the other games have.
But it's on new consoles.
No, I know, but it's also on current consoles, so it actually has more platforms, and it still hasn't sold as well. Either way, Dan doesn't give a shit. It looks good.
Suck my dick.
Anyway, we'll move on. The Last of Us movie. Yeah, how about that? Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, you got me back and I'm back.
Is going to be an adaptation of the film, of the game. I'm sorry, the game.
So yeah, I don't really care.
Like a direct adaptation of the story of the game,
which
allows you.
Which isn't worth it because.
Well, no, it is. It's kind of cool.
It's a great story, but like at the same time,
we played it.
It's a movie.
It's a movie with your hands involved. Like,
and it's way more intense that way.
Yeah.
No, it's true. I agree.
Exceptionally more intense.
But could you?
Like, this is just a way to reach a wider audience.
Yeah. Could you think of someone who could play Joel or Ellie offhand?
Crixus.
No, that's his favorite character for everything.
No, only for Wolverine.
He can do Joel, whatever. Fuck
No, he could not.
Yeah, he could.
I don't think he could. No. He has like that weird crying face whenever he's like trying to be emotional. It always looks the same. Anyway.
Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
Someone, you know what? You're not the first person to say Josh Brolin.
I was just gonna say that.
He's pretty. I just watched No Country for Old Men. He's pretty.
You did?
Good. Yeah.
Nice.
I was listening to another podcast. I don't know what it was called.
So weird.
Cassie and I were watching a movie the other day.
So weird.
We went to that. We watched it.
You watched
So, I was listening to another podcast, and the first thing that they said was Josh Brolin as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
He kind of sounds the same. Like,
he works as,
and he's pretty gruff. And
he has the right facial body type
and his speech, how he talks.
Exactly. Well, he's a good actor. He can do pretty much any voice, but he can do a badass beard, which we've seen. So, Ellie.
I mean, people are gonna say Ellen Page.
Well, obviously, because the character model is
It's gotta be a
based off Ellen
14-year-old
Page.
girl though, so
No, they'll probably age it up. They will.
Changes everything, but okay.
It absolutely does change everything. I agree, but they probably will do that.
No, just get a girl. Like, it's not gonna be Ellen Page. It's never gonna be Ellen Page.
If Ellen Page would work. I mean, why
It's
couldn't it be Ellen Page? Why
It's
couldn't it?
never going to be Ellen Page. Guaranteed 100%.
Okay, all right. Jeremy is guaranteed.
It's never going to be her.
Bet me a steak dinner that it won't be Ellen Page.
Shit.
Just kidding. I don't want to do that.
Why?
Because I don't think it will be Ellen Page either. I just think it would. I just think it would work.
She wouldn't even be good. I don't think she'd be good either.
It'll be.
She wouldn't be good at all.
At all?
No.
All right. Well, I don't know about
They
that.
only use her likeness in the beginning, not how she talked, how she carried herself.
That's true. So, Dan, do you want to know something about the next Jurassic Park movie?
What the doctor's in it? Henry Wu?
Yeah. It's a B.D.
Think I know
Wong
that.
who's coming back to play Dr. Henry Wu, who was originally in the first
'cause
Jurassic.
He's been pretty busy.
Well, I thought for sure he would have died in the first one. I guess he
He
did.
died in the book, so.
Well, he obviously hasn't. So in the movies, so
The movies are better than the books, obviously. So
But he also had a much larger role in the book.
Oh, okay.
So
so maybe they'll tap into some of that
Yeah.
they didn't touch on in the first movie.
can we just talk about this movie once there's a trailer or something?
How can you not care about?
It hasn't even
this?
started
How can you
filming. They haven't
care
even
about
cast
Assassin's
everyone
Creed?
yet.
I don't even say I care about Assassin's Creed.
All you have to know is that
We
he
constantly talk
fucking-
about Jurassic Park like all the time.
No, we don't. You
Shit.
think?
Yeah, we do.
We talk about Jurassic Park about 1/18th the time we talk about
No.
Star Wars.
Yeah, that one's way too much too. But
Yeah. Well, I think we're done with the Clone Wars stuff. I don't think there's any gonna be any more.
I just started the series, and then we're done with it.
Okay, well, Dan, like I said, we'll do a special podcast when you're done with the series that discusses everything because I think it's great.
Whatever. We'll see.
No,
Right now, I'm kind of I'm not
Dan,
that into it.
Dan,
he hasn't watched it.
Do
for
it.
I'm giving it a couple. Normally, I give it a couple episodes. I'm giving it the first season, and I'll start the second. We'll see how it goes. I know it
it's
gets better, so I'm
drastically
probably
better.
gonna just watch it all.
And we're not going to talk
so
about that
fun. I
anymore.
don't know
Dan,
fucking
they're
time.
only 20 minutes long.
But they're all done in arcs. So you have to watch 3 of them.
That's
right?
true.
That's
No,
not
actually,
hard
no.
anyways.
First of all, that's something they changed already from the first season going on. I don't want to get into it. I'm not. But
Don't
the
get
first
into it.
season
Getting
is
into
very
it
much
right now.
one-offs episodes.
No, the first season. I'm in the middle of an arc right now. There's a
But-
3-episode arc and another 3-episode arc.
Going into later seasons, it's like 3 and 4 and 5 episode arcs, and that's it. There's no window. There's no one-off episodes. But into the later seasons, that's
How
how
does
it
that
is.
make it better? That
What
makes
does it
Because
matter?
because they're
What
like
does
they're
it
like
matter? You have to watch
because they're
them
like
anyways.
they're like mini movies.
No, I
Dan.
know, but if you're watching a 3-episode arc and they're all 20-minute episodes, don't tell me that's a 20-minute episode. You want to watch?
Well, no,
a
because there's
3
still
It already
an
is,
ending.
though.
There's still an ending of it that there's somewhere to
Hard.
stop.
And if they're 20 minutes, you're gonna watch 2 to 3 at a
Anyway.
time, anyways.
Not always.
You're not gonna watch one. and
There
then
have
go
been
fuck-
times we've watched one for sure.
Well,
He's
stop
just very
watching it.
confused by that.
Stop watching with Cassie. Watch it on your own because she doesn't give a shit about that show.
She does. She's into it.
I don't think
Is she a fan of Kosa? What's her name again?
No,
Ahsoka?
Ahsoka. Yeah, thank you.
I don't know. She can't really tell right now, but she likes it. So.
So we talked to Jurassic Park. According to Legendary Pictures, who are doing the Warcraft movie, and I think they're kind of connected to the Mass Effect movies as well. Warcraft is easier to adapt than Mass Effect to a film. But that makes sense to me. So Duncan Jones was the one who said that. Of course it does. Warcraft is just a wide open fantasy world. You could put any story in there and make any movie. Well, Mass Effect, you have to tell that Mass Effect.
I don't know what the difference is right
now.
now.
No, because in Mass Effect,
a wide open fantasy world.
No, because in Mass Effect,
it's a wide open science fiction world.
No. But there's a set story that if you're gonna make a movie, that's the story you're gonna tell.
So
and it's
much easier to adapt.
No, because it's not. Because adapting a game to a movie is harder than it is to just put any story into a fantasy world. That's a lot easier. You can just put anything.
I guess. Then why even call it? There are
plenty of stories
Warcraft? Within Warcraft that are actual stories. Like they're just gonna do a movie with orcs in it. Then
Daniel, name one.
The Lich King.
And how many expansion packs for Warcraft have there been?
Lich King.
I don't think that's a Warcraft story.
Either way, there's been
like
a million expansion
the Panda
packs.
one recently.
Not recently, but okay.
Either way, those are that's World of Warcraft stuff. But no, those aren't those aren't the stories that they're.
Pandera?
Those aren't the.
Is that what it's called?
It's something like that. They're not gonna adapt those stories for the games. They're gonna use that world and they're gonna just tell whatever stories make sense. There's a set story for Mass Effect that they have to tell, and that's the one they're gonna tell.
So fucking do it already.
It's gonna be a ways off, Dan.
Good, I'll get that article out within the 3 years and make it.
So okay, I'll have to go through these. This is the last stories. I'm gonna do these very fast. EA says that they're not affected. That the Battlefield brand has not been affected by any of the issues that they've had, and that the next DLC is out on March 25th. 50% of all game revenue comes from 0.15% of all in-game players, and this is mobile game revenue. I wanted to talk about this more. I think I might bring it up again in the next podcast. Think about that for a second. 50% of all in-game revenue comes from 0.15% of all mobile game players.
Mobile.
Less than 1% of all people are responsible for over 50% of all the game revenue. They're called whales, and the games are designed to attract and essentially extract money from these people.
That's strictly mobile games.
Yeah, mobile games. We're talking mobile games.
Well, yeah, because there's the people that like have their credit card attached and they're just like.
Yes, but lots of people have. Everyone has their. Most people have their credit card attached.
I do too. Yeah, you're right.
But you're not one of those whales. You don't exactly right.
That's nuts.
We'll talk. I want to get into it more. I think there's more you can talk about that, but we'll talk about that later. Smash Bros. Melee is back at the EVO tournament. Their first year was back. It was last year. Nintendo finally let that happen. You're not good enough.
Sign me up.
No, Dan, you don't know how to wave. You don't even know how to wave dash.
Link has been removed from the tournament, though.
What?
So.
Why?
So what would you do?
You don't even know that. You're just saying that.
What? No.
What? No, I couldn't.
No, fuck.
There's been a full trailer for the Fargo TV series. I know we talked about this a while ago.
Whatever.
It looks pretty good.
What's that series even going to be about?
It's set in Fargo. It's like a black comedy television series.
Black comedy or dark comedy?
Dark comedy,
Those
whatever.
are two different things.
Black comedy is like...
Tyler Perry.
Okay, so former Castlevania producer Koji Igarashi, who is famous for working as a very key member of the team who worked on Symphony of the Night, which are one of the best well-known Castlevania games ever made. I'm not even going to talk about what's going on over here. And anyway, so he's left Capcom.
Yeah.
And he said that he's very much willing to work on another Metroid game if they would take him. And
Never
finally,
really even played any Metroid games.
You played Super Metroid? Okay, well you need to play that because fuck you. That's one of the best games ever made. Go play Super Metroid. Come back.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
No, it is. Jeremy, back me up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. He's playing games, so he doesn't really want to talk. And finally, the new Transformers animated series picks up right after Transformers, the last Transformers Prime sequel series. So it's a direct sequel, which we haven't seen in a lot of television series for a while, especially for kids. So that's why it's exciting to me. It concentrates on Bumblebee. Other than that...
That's why it's exciting you?
Yeah, because you haven't seen networks pick up like a series like that that's a direct sequel to a previous one. Imagine if you had it. You know what I mean? It excites me.
To Young Justice.
Exactly. Imagine there being an exact sequel to that. Either way, make sure to check out our site, towerbabblepodcast.com. See us on YouTube and iTunes. Rate us, please. Go and yeah, like on Twitter at TowerBabblecast. And
what do ratings even do?
It boosts us up in the rankings. It banks us up in the ratings in iTunes. Also, send us emails at towerbabblepodcast@gmail.com.
Comment on the website. That'd be the best way to do it.
That too. We'll get all those things. Listen, there's not a single way you could contact us that we wouldn't see. So make sure to do that, and we'll be back at probably in 2
Make
weeks
sure you
from now.
poke us on Facebook.
No, don't do that. No one does that anymore. And like I said with Dan, we'll try to get that Game of Thrones stuff up right away.
Yeah.
We have that feed as well on iTunes. It's the Game of Thrones Tower Battle breakdowns. So we will see you guys again probably 2 weeks from now.
Right.